What's up, everybody? This is the DNA Money Podcast, and we're on episode 10 today. So this
Yay,
is
the final episode of the season.
a
Let's have
anniversary.
seasons.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
next season we are gonna have, I don't know, something else, something new,
Yeah.
some new segment.
A new journey.
Let's actually, yeah, I have an idea. Let's do season conclusions.
Yeah,
or
that's
something
what I was
like
gonna say.
that.
Summary.
With like summary of the podcast progress, like this season we made this much money or whatever. So I'm ready to tell you that by the end of the first season we made what did we make? $0
Negative $1,000.
Yeah, negative $1,000. So $0. We invested $1,000 into this whole thing, around $1,000, maybe a little more, a little less.
Yeah, setup, physical setup, and then software.
Yeah, let's write it down. Season 1.
Yay.
Expenses. Expenses $1,000, and income.
And before you do that, do you remember what episode we've discussed the budget? Our budget?
I think it was third episode.
Third episode?
Yeah.
No, I think it was a bit more later than that because we've already, once we had everything set up, including the lights.
Yeah, maybe episode 5.
Yeah, I think it was episode 5. So, guys, go ahead and rewatch that.
Yeah, and so our profit is
Net profit.
$1,000 in parentheses. So,
Which means negative.
yeah, which if you guys look at the P&Ls of companies, usually when they kind of
yeah. Well, I should say this is a simplified one.
yeah, I mean a little bit. I mean that's
That'll
worthy
do.
of a public company
That'll
reports.
do.
Yeah, but whenever it's in parentheses, then it means negative. So profit is minus $1,000. So,
But I wanna, I guess, in regards to the summary, I think I would say that our first season was mostly, about feeling more comfortable in front of cameras, right? Just more about improving our speaking skills and also understanding what topics we really want to cover, right? And like what's our thing and what's our competitive edge, if I may say so.
I don't know about competitive edges. We're not competing really with anybody.
Only competing with ourselves.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just the discovery of what are we gonna do, what it feels like, how we do it, like setting up processes. Like we started using Notion to
prepare for the
remarks.
episodes.
Yeah, like we figured out how to upload things to YouTube. So that all takes some time. So the first season is just the discovery season. We are net negative actually. So I think we are gonna have around 2 episodes. So what's our schedule? So 1 episode a week, 2 episodes a week, probably 2.
I think we're doing 2 episodes a week. You might have noticed that we do 2 episodes, and we every 2 episodes we may wear the same clothes. That's because we record 2 episodes in one day.
Yeah,
not every time, but we started doing that lately.
So usually we'll kind of space out the uploads, but one of those episodes is going to be more like news and like finance
general
talk.
topics.
Yeah, general topics. And the second one is going to be more personal, relaxed one, because we kind of discussed all of the like general trends on the first one, and we just going to discuss like podcast updates, business updates, or personal kind of stories and stuff like that. So
and I think it's interesting to observe that I wanted to say evolution or progress of how we started, right? Because we were we were talking initially about a lot of news and what was going on, right? Explaining the current economic environment, the factors that affect that, and how it affects our personal lives. And I think later on we understood that it's probably gonna be more interesting for listeners to listen to more of our personal stories, or the content has to go through our kind of personal filter and how it affects us in particular, and what we do about it. That's one of the lessons that I've figured over the past 10 episodes.
Yeah, that's because whenever you talk about your personal experience, it just sounds better, and you have
And more interesting, it's
Yeah.
not just dry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what else did we figure out? We figured out that the cameras
Yeah.
have to be synced to the drive real quick, otherwise you lose a lot of time and data. And we
Yeah.
figured out that the editing is hard, takes long.
That we need a producer.
Yeah, eventually, what we figured out that the
I think the even the setting time, what initially took us maybe around 40 minutes to set up cameras and the light and everything, and now it takes around 10, right?
yeah, probably to like 10 minutes,
So
maybe
it's
even
way
less.
quicker.
Yeah, and that's due to us being like using the same place. Everything is kind of already preset.
Yeah, and
And,
practice too, right?
Yeah,
Because
practice.
I mean, luckily after 10 times we figured out how to do that. If we're still struggling with that, it
Yeah.
would have been a problem, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay, that's about it. I think on the podcast updates, don't have much. But
And thanks to our first several real subscribers.
oh yeah,
Unfortunately,
there are-
can't see those.
yeah, we don't know who subscribes to us. So, but we have 7 subscribers or 8 subscribers, I think.
7 or 8, and at least half of that is our friends or family, right?
Yeah.
So if there are several just random subscribers who listen to us, please leave a comment. We'd love
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah, and we also got first bot comments.
Yeah, that was
Trying to scam people of some
crypto,
crypto investment
or
signals.
they were
or
promoting some person who was doing trading,
signals. Yeah,
something
so
like that.
but at
Yeah,
least
typical.
that means for those bots, we are popping up as a finance channel. So
Yeah.
I think they wouldn't advertise on like,
Honestly, it's probably because they put the hashtags in the last video about like finance and
maybe.
investing.
well, keep doing that. So
We need more
Uh,
bots.
yeah, we need more bots. I mean, who's gonna watch it if not bots, right? Okay. So, what did you want to discuss?
Yeah, I think this one we wanted to talk more about, maybe more about personal finance, or just as you mentioned in the beginning, like stories from our
Yeah.
personal life, and I think you have an
So-
interesting one.
Controversial personal finance advice. Coming sponsored by my friend's experience. So I wouldn't advise anybody to really do that, but maybe it's gonna work. So one of my friends recently, like yesterday, texted me. He was like, "Dude, like, my friend gave me a Rolex. He's just sent a picture. It's like a gold Rolex." And he was like, "Oh, I was wearing it out." He lives in Miami, so it's kind of a flex culture.
Yeah.
So I
And-
mean,
And his
same
friend
thing.
gave it to him for a couple of days. or-
Yeah, just to run
Bor-
around
yeah.
in a Rolex.
Yeah.
My friend loves watches and kind of talks
Yeah.
about them, so they kind of hit it off, I guess. And he was like, "Oh, keep it for a week,
Nice.
can use it." So, and so he was out on a party with like this Rolex and just like whatever, wasn't probably was flexing or something, I don't know. But he said that the 5 just random kind of guys came up to him and they were like, "Oh man, what you doing? Like, what's your business and stuff like that?" And he's doing he runs an appliance repair company.
A plants repair company.
Yeah, so he's contracting for companies, and he also like sources his own leads and does like appliance repair. So
appliance. Okay.
yeah, like fixing expensive fridges, stoves, like expensive like washers and all that stuff. So so one of the guys that approached him, he was like, "Oh, I own 30 Airbnbs in Miami," and so of course for those Airbnbs, something is gonna break. Like microwave can break and fridge can break, and it's time sensitive. And so I think they agreed to like exchange contacts, and he's gonna be repairing. Like he's gonna be on a hook to repair those appliances if they ever break for that guy. And in 30 Airbnbs, something is gonna break for sure. Like all the time. Like, and especially in the summer days and
it's this is one of the persons that reached or that came to the guy.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh,
talking.
What do you do?" Like,
came to your friend
because he saw the expensive watch on his wrist. So I'm just saying it could benefit you too, like to flex and have those expensive, meaningless things. The other thing with those expensive, rare watches like Rolexes and stuff like that, that they are rare enough that you cannot buy them really in store. If you order a Rolex watch, it might come to you like in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so resale value on the secondary market is pretty high. So I think if you're able to get an allocation for a Rolex that's worth like 10 grand, by the time you get it, you might be able to sell it like for 15, 16, just because there's not enough Rolexes on the market. I don't know how that is going to change with the market right now. Probably not as crazy of like appreciation and speculation in that area.
Yes, but I think still the this alternative asset class, right? Usually collectibles and art and just luxury items, they kind of keep their value.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because the thing is, rich people are always gonna spend money on this stuff.
I don't know about that though. Like, how much money are they gonna spend on it? It depends, because it's expensive enough that still, like, it was mostly driven by appreciation of assets and like speculation and like NFTs. It's pretty much all the same thing, like jewelry. I mean, it's not gonna go below 10 grand for sure. It's just
not gonna appreciate
it might
as
not
fast.
appreciate as fast as it was appreciated.
I honestly, I think it's I agree that it's not gonna go below its price for sure. And will even accelerate.
You can buy it for like 15 grand maybe, like a roll. I mean, I'm not saying to do it to anybody, but if you do, you can, and you have enough money for it, you can buy a Rolex for like 15 grand, 20 grand, keep it. It's going to keep its value unless you break it or whatever. And you get to kind of use it for networking. Like, people going to be interested. Like, people who know about expensive watches are probably doing something cool and interesting, and not always true, but
like appliances.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's
it might be not that interesting, but definitely generating cash.
Oh yeah. And you can be surprised by how much those companies make.
Yeah,
like they can make hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, because I think he used to work for one of the guys, and they actually located in like in the San Fernando Valley, like their headquarters is there. And so they had a bunch of like small companies, and the biggest one I think was the appliance company. They also had an electrical and the HVAC company. So, but I think they were doing like $40 million a year in revenue from that. And they are in Cali, Chicago, LA, Oh, in Cali, Chicago, Miami, and Texas, I think. So not that many markets too. So they were able to generate significant
And what's this? You
revenues.
said it's HVAC. What
HVAC,
HVAC? What is that?
it's air conditioning.
Oh, okay. So they were installing air conditioning
Yeah,
units.
so they had a few kind of like branches, but the biggest one was appliances.
I see. Wow.
Yeah, it's a different kind of qualifications for mechanics, but
You know, it's always interesting for me, and I know I'm drifting away from the topic a little bit, but I think it's interesting to understand that, like, even these traditional businesses, because the markets are so huge, they still can generate a lot of revenue, and you can still, it's gonna be it could be a cash cow. And for me, it's quite fascinating because I mostly look, and again, I'm working with a venture capital firm, so we invest in tech startups. And the first thing we'll look at there is competitive advantage, right? Something proprietary technology that's gonna keep all the competitors away from you in the long term. And seeing these like traditional businesses that literally don't have, unless the only advantage or edge that you can have is customer relationships, like your or customer support and the quality of your service that you provide.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, right? And then maybe something with advertisement and acquiring customers in a more efficient way. But other than that, there's nothing really different from any of those companies, and that's probably because the markets are huge and the needs and the demand
the
is
market
always
is
there.
huge, a lot of cash in it, a lot of it's like urgency whenever something breaks. Like if your fridge breaks, it's an urgent purchase. So a lot of that there. Yeah, as I said, like everybody has a fridge and it needs to be fixed real soon. What else? The advantages there could be. It's hard to say. There's probably. I mean, I'm not in it. I kind of just know about it through my friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to find technicians, so that could be a competitive advantage.
Like a shortage in supply of technicians.
Yeah, so the marketing, I mean, how much of an advantage is marketing? Marketing is not that of a proprietary thing. Systems, so I think that company I told you about, they had a like proprietary CRM
Yeah,
that they used.
that
And,
could be interesting. Yeah.
but I think I talked to a guy who was like a head of like technical stuff for them. I don't even know if he had a position that was defined as like head of information or whatever. It probably was just like ad hoc activity that he did for the company.
Yeah.
So maybe some CRMs, but they had theirs was developed by an offshore company. So it was kind of shitty and worked half the time.
Yeah.
So
Well, I agree with you that this software integration and just I would say workflow optimization is probably what could be a competitive edge as well, because and as simple as receiving an order, communicating that order to one of the available staff members, and then getting their
payment
time
on that order, distributing money to technicians, because they usually work on like they don't get a salary. They work on like 50% of what they kill, what they eat, pretty much. And so those technicians also have to have a kind of a skill to negotiate the prices, because they come in, they evaluate, and they're like, okay, this is gonna be like $400, and they have to like, or maybe $500, or maybe like $5,000 or $10,000, because my friend, he's doing like very expensive fridges and stuff, so like Wolf Sub-Zero fridges, those can be like 20-30 grand a piece.
Wow.
And so he's able to like come into a huge mansion and be like, okay, this is broken, it's gonna take you $5,000, and those like, okay,
they don't really
to fix
care.
and it's pretty much as much work as fix like a regular one.
Wow.
Samsung, whatever.
Yeah.
So So yeah, you gotta be able to sell, to present, to be presentable to those higher end clients, and there's
Yeah,
a lot of that. But
you have to know how to communicate and talk to them, probably,
yeah,
right?
but software must be like a great thing, because also they have details that they're I mean the parts that they are buying. There's a lot of context in transaction. Some transactions are paid over time, so you could automate a lot of things through software, I
Mm-hmm.
think. But I don't know if that company does a lot of that, but
Yeah.
probably not. But if somebody would make a big play and like private equity play to roll up those
That's the
companies
first
and
thing that they would do. Yeah.
buy invest into CRMs and build up like a great system, I think that's a play worth investing.
Yeah, because it can cut costs significantly, right? You'll need less staff because a lot of
Yeah.
it will get automated. That's number one. Number two, you'll get more customers, which is gonna increase your top line, and yeah, increase like EBITDA as well. So definitely like, and I feel like not a lot of family businesses or traditional businesses, they don't really do this
For sure,
innovations
no.
because like if it works with them and you can still generate a bunch of
Yeah.
cash, that's fine, like whatever. But as they say, if you don't innovate, like eventually you will get
Yeah.
killed by those who innovate.
And also, even like mom and pops aside, the people who run those businesses, who start those businesses, are not that technical usually, not that system driven. They are more business driven. Like they have to like generate those leads and make those things happen. And yeah, it's a different mindset to think how software could like improve everything.
I would say that
Yeah.
probably changes
And
with.
also, it's super like if you are not in software or like tech general, you have no idea on like how much things cost, how to hire
Yeah,
a software engineer, what to tell
but you
them,
just
and
hire a guy who knows, or get a guy who knows. So like, I
how
don't
do you
think
do
it's that
that?
hard.
How do you tell if the guy knows what he's talking
Network.
about? Well,
But yeah, if they have like a bunch of friends who just do business in the same like old school way, then it's hard. But like I think if you're smart, if you want to like go about it, like if you're a business owner and you know how to do sales, you probably also know how to attract those people or how to find those technical people.
I don't know if you do, but
I think it may change with like our generation or someone who's not, let's say, not a a baby boomer, but and not maybe our parents' age, right? But like even if you're 30, if you're 40 years old now, you probably would still be more knowledgeable about that.
well, you'll be knowledgeable. You maybe figure out how to use spreadsheets and some HubSpot CRM or whatever. Salesforce maybe, because Salesforce is pretty complex too. I don't know if you're gonna be able to like understand how to implement your own software solutions, how to drive customers through those pipelines, how to like
yeah. No, you're definitely not gonna
collapse
do it
all
by
the-
yourself. Like you will need to find a guy a person who'd be responsible for
yeah,
that.
maybe somebody with experience or at least a passion for
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess going back to that Rolex story, were there any other people, like interesting people who walked up to your friend?
That's the story. The fun about the story is just it happened in one day. So like he just
people, right? That's insane.
went out and already got a contract on 30 Airbnb apartments, Airbnb places, whatever. Which is
Yeah,
I mean that's probably worth
more
that
than
Rolex.
in the
at least
long term.
over a year.
Yeah.
Maybe not over a year, but maybe over 2 years. But maybe from that he starts doing it for this guy, and then this guy has a lot of friends who do Airbnbs, and he's able to expand his network that way, and that's already worth a Rolex. And he was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna buy it." from that guy. I don't know, like.
And dude, I wouldn't be surprised if he buys it and then nobody comes up. No one asks about it like anymore. Yeah,
because it's It's such a kind of bad. Uh,
Well, the thing is, they don't, as we said, they don't depreciate, right? So he doesn't really lose anything.
yeah,
He makes
but I
it's an
wouldn't
investment.
also. I don't know. I don't know if I would walk around Los Angeles with
Oh
a
hell
20
no.
grand on my wrist.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better in Miami, but
Yeah. Yeah. No. And what are those, by the way?
those are they are like $300.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wearing Apple Watch. I mean, I've never been a watch guy, to be honest. But
See, neither am I, but when you hear those stories, maybe it's worth it. I mean, if
yeah,
you have something to sell to people, then
yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting. Like if I start my consumer startup with the budgeting and all that stuff, that might spark a conversation and might still result
I
into
would
some
say
network.
don't bring those kind of watches to the investor meeting.
Definitely, unless I don't know.
Was it
Unless
like
you're trying to sell success already, like
yeah,
fund
yeah,
investments and all that stuff.
yeah. If you're raising like serious beyond Series A round,
No,
then
I don't think even like if you're a startup founder, then maybe don't really do that. But if you're raising money for like private equity, so something cash cows,
for cash cow
and
businesses for sure.
like real estate. If you're raising money for like a car company, then do that for sure.
Do you remember that scene from a movie about Steve Jobs and when he had this
I
first?
haven't watched it, but I heard the story. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched. I don't actually. No, I might have watched it, but I remember that scene though because I also I saw that somewhere in social media as well. But basically, they're about to have a meeting with an investor, one of their main investors, and they're like, "Oh shit, we drove here in our Ferraris or Porsches, some like luxury cars." And then they like, oh, we gotta get those away. So they run back to the parking lot and get in the car and like just hide them somewhere a couple of blocks away, so that investors doesn't see that or don't see that.
That's
Yeah.
smart. But it's hard for me to believe that I don't know much about Steve Jobs, but I think I drove by was his house in San Francisco.
You mean the garage where he built?
Maybe
Where he
I'm
built
not
the first
sure
Mac?
where
Or
he
what's
used to live or where he died, I think.
Oh,
and it's like
a mansion.
It's not that crazy. It's
No, where he started is definitely different from where he.
yeah, even
passed
where
away.
he ended, I think it wasn't
Hmm.
crazy. So it kind of surprises me that he drove Porsche. Maybe he was young and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
with the Rolexes, I think so. Luxury cars can be that, but luxury cars lose value real quick. I mean, depends on how luxury you go.
Yeah, depends
if you go
on.
Lambos, they don't lose that much.
And also
value.
depends on how many are there. Like if it's a really rare collection, then
Well, that's different ballpark. But I'm talking about how to like dress to impress kind of investment, and maybe the Rolex is the best choice because it doesn't really lose value. You can kind of impress somebody. Yeah. What else? Clothes. I think clothes are. You gotta be into it really to impress because all of this Gucci with like huge letters Gucci and Louis.
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
just
on the. It has an opposite effect on people
Yeah.
who actually
unless maybe you're
dress up in that clothes.
in an entertainment industry, then maybe it has the right effect that you expect. Maybe those people are like, oh, you're very Gucci, you're cool. But yeah, I think if you wanna like dress to impress, then you better know something about like suits and stuff.
Yeah. It has to be more advanced knowledge, I think. Like if I don't know anything about Rolex and I just buy a random Rolex, and I can't really talk about it, like it's probably not cool. Like,
maybe, but at least with Rolexes, like if it's a Rolex, everybody knows it's a Rolex. I mean, people who know Rolexes know. It's Rolex.
Yeah.
With clothes, I don't know. It's hard. With supercars, it's easier, but they lose in value. Clothes immediately lose in value too. So, actually, if you buy Gucci, they kind of hold value.
Not the clothes, but like accessories, like handbags or backpacks or just some
For
accessories.
girls, maybe.
Yeah,
Not for guys.
For guys, probably not. And I don't know. Honestly, it's funny that we talk about it because neither of us dresses up.
Yeah, not at all.
Nearly, crazy or I don't know. I go to Uniqlo and H&M and
Same
I'm
here,
fine.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, what he told me was pretty interesting, though. I was like surprised. So
Yeah. No. Definitely. With cars, when he first told me the story, I thought all those 5 people were either just guys who were like wandering around how your friend makes money, because you probably saw it online. There's like a bunch of bloggers now that have these channels where they pull up like to a guy that has a really expensive car or watch, and they just ask like, what do you do, and then ask about advice to like young people or just about general life advice. So I thought those were types of people that approach your friend.
Yeah,
but
no. But actually, he also told me the other story is so one time he was with the cars. So one time he was working for like car delivery company. So he was driving those trucks with cars behind it, like kind of delivering to.
Yeah.
And so you're not supposed to do it, but he took one of the. So he was delivering a Porsche Panamera, a new one, and he took it to kind of ride around.
What the hell?
In San Francisco. And so he pulled up to some viewpoint, came out of the car, and he said that there were guys riding some Range Rovers and other stuff, and they came up to him and they were like, oh, what you do, and all that stuff. He was like, oh, it's my dad's car. And but they were into some business too, I think startups.
Yeah,
San Francisco,
obviously.
But yeah, he was like, "Oh, it's pretty interesting that people come by and ask, and like that can spark a lot of like productive conversations."
Yeah, I mean, I borrowed or a friend of mine kind of left the town for almost a month or several weeks, and he drives Porsche, and I borrowed the Porsche and. Never happened to me.
I mean, you live in LA. I mean, it's like a Prius.
Like a freaking like no one cares.
Not really, but yeah.
But it is crazy though. When I, for example, driving in Hollywood, horrible roads are not good, and like the Silver Lake area there is just roads are bad. But for example, you go to Beverly Hills, and it's all like luxury cars. Like it's so easily noticeable how the environment changes. Even in terms of quality of the roads, people obviously, cars they drive, like the clothes they wear. It's just like you can see that a lot of them are, I don't know if fake wealthy or not, but a lot of them are actually wealthy. So it's it's definitely a different feeling, like driving that kind of car there versus in like other areas.
Yeah, but it didn't work for you.
Didn't work for me.
But
nah.
Also, he also kind of goes to those parties, clubs, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. I'm more of a home kind of guy.
Same here. So it wouldn't work for us. Unless if you actually use this car and you went to a car meet or something, then I think that would have worked. So
I also think it's interesting. Like the American culture definitely has that openness. Let's say, because if they notice something, they just come up to you and ask you, right? And without like any jealous feelings or anything like that, right? They ask like, "Oh, what do you do? Like this is really cool." I feel like in developing countries and emerging countries, if you have that, like you would either think that the guy does something, illegal or maybe it's he's coming from like a wealthy background, has like a wealthy family, and you would like it'd be super weird if you come up to the guy because he's probably gonna be like cocky and arrogant and
suspicious maybe
too. Yeah. So it's interesting to like observe that like the culture here allows for things like that, like and very open for networking. So
Yeah, especially I guess if you go to clubs and stuff, then
yeah, well, yeah,
that'd
that
be
for sure.
a little sus if in Russia
Yeah.
anybody came up to me and was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what's this Rolex
No,
about?"
because those guys that approached your friend, like, did you tell you what was their average age?
I don't know. He didn't tell,
Mm.
but I assume they were kind of older.
Yeah, because the thing is here, what's cool is that even if you're older, right? And I assume
Mhm.
your friend is kind of is quite
Same age.
same age.
As
Okay,
us.
okay. For even for older guys, it's still fine to like
Mhm.
come by or come up to a person that they don't know and like ask these things. Because usually, I guess in our culture, like if you're an older person, like you wouldn't do that. You're
Yeah.
like why should I do that? Like, you know, I don't want like F that.
Yeah. It's
And like
also interesting to know that the expensive watches and cars are not a pussy magnet. They're the opposite, I guess.
we should probably
It's
cut
like,
that out.
nah. Because yeah, a lot of guys buy expensive stuff to impress girls, and they end up impressing guys. That's just true.
That's actually so true. Yeah.
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 Because girls
Uh,
generally have no idea what Rolexes
yeah,
are and
or
how
like,
much they cost.
or they
And
would like Corvettes as much as
yeah,
Lambo or something.
that's yeah. Every time a Corvette drives by, my girl is like, "Oh, is that
It
a?"
looks cool.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm like, "Oh, it's a Corvette. It's like
Yeah.
it's not that cool." I mean,
Yeah.
it's, whatever.
Honestly, I'd rather drive like a regular car than Corvette.
Yeah,
Bro.
because
Because it's like it's not like a cool. It's like you know that the person driving that's probably wants to look cool, but
mhm.
can't really afford like a better
Yeah.
car, and they still buy it. You're like,
I mean, it's a good car, but yeah, I have the
the
same
reputation is not as good, probably.
feeling. Just not. Yeah, it's not this. It tries to be a Ferrari, but it's
Yeah.
not even close.
Yeah.
What if they drove a Ford GT? That's a different kind of story. Ford GT
The
is
electric one.
no. No, Ford GT. Do you know Ford GT? It's like a race car from Ford. It's like
Oh, okay.
probably $1 million worth,
Oh, really?
500,000 worth or something like that. Super exclusive, super expensive, like limited edition, crazy fast, beats records and stuff like that. And they had the old one was I think in the 70s, so those go for like
Oh, is it the one that was created to compete with
Yeah.
Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
Or Lamborghini?
Yep. That's the
Lamborghini.
one.
Ferrari, right? And
Ferrari.
they had a movie
Yeah.
about it as well. By the way, an amazing movie.
So yeah, that's the one, and then they didn't make any new ones, and they recently, like 7 years ago, made a new version of Ford GT, and that's like incredible. It's-
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I saw one in life, and it's that's the car. That is the car.
Yeah.
So that's, but yeah, with the Corvette is it's not it. It's not it, but to each its own. I
Yeah.
guess. You can still kind of impress somebody with a Corvette. I mean, if one of my friends had a Corvette, I would be interested. Like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah, no, for sure, and you'll be like happy for them, and
Yeah,
like,
but
ride there as well, or ask for a
Yeah.
ride, and yeah.
so I'm not saying it's not cool, but I'm also saying it's kind of not cool. Yeah. But as a general advice, just don't buy those things. Like,
Well, you just said in the beginning that they should buy Rolex.
if you're into it, if you're really into it, if you can really capitalize on it,
Yeah.
maybe borrow from somebody and try it on and see if it works for you. And if you have a lot of money, maybe just put it in a Rolex, whatever. Who cares? Can spark some conversations.
Yeah.
But
No, I think if you're if you're seeing the growth of your business, or in the opposite, like stagnation, I don't know, and or maybe if you want to network more and like you understand the power of networking, then you can afford.
If
like,
you're
that
already
investment.
kind of good at it, then
Yeah.
do it. If you're
Because the thing is, you have to follow the like Rolex, for example, or those kind of things can get you a first conversation. Now, how you talk or how you perform in that conversation is another topic, right? So you got to be knowledgeable. You have to know what you're talking about. The last thing you want to do is to show them that it's all fake, like you don't have anything
yeah,
or
it's
don't know
just for
much.
show.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, really, really like controversial and at the same time interesting. Yeah, what's I guess how much what's the price for like an average Rolex? Is it 16 to 18,000?
Yeah, I think his was like $18,000. I remember Submariner Rolex. They were going for like 10 grand, but on the market they were going for 12. And in the high of like inflation and pandemic, just like a few months ago, I was asking around and people were like, "Oh, it's like 20 grand now." So I think it's kind of cooled down a bit from that. But you're looking at 15 grand if you even can get one. So
Yeah. So would you suggest people starting a separate fund for Rolex specifically? Maybe like if they can't afford it now, but like setting aside or putting aside to
a Rolex fund.
Yeah, like $100 per fund.
First an emergency fund and then a Rolex
And then
fund.
a Rolex fund. A
I
friend
don't
of
know.
mine actually has that.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because he wants it, but he doesn't want to like just drop. He has cash, but he doesn't want to drop 15 grand right away. So, setting aside like let's say $200 or some amount per month, like instead of having like a couple of expensive dinners, you put it in the Rolex fund, and just over the years you get to the point where you just can buy them.
I guess it's a good strategy if you approach it this way. Maybe see the Rolex itself is not gonna generate any money for you. You gotta still have a product and gotta still be able to sell it, deliver on the promises, and do all of this work before Rolex is gonna do anything for you. So
yeah.
like these people, if like this guy has like 30 rentals, then he's probably not stupid. And if he would have caught on that you're just bullshitting, and he'll just walk away and not like.
Yeah, I think you can easily feel whether that person is like actually knowledgeable and actually makes money, or it's all bullshit.
So first get that, then get a Rolex, or don't get a Rolex. Find another way to impress or spark a conversation.
Yeah. Or come up to, even if you don't have Rolex, and if you see someone wears a Rolex, come up to that person. How about that strategy?
It's a little bit of a, I guess, kind of
puts you in a position where you're a little bit
asking.
Yeah, and you're like not what do you call it? Not subpar, but like a submissive.
kind of in a submissive position, because kind of you are approaching a person and you're asking. It's like, so those guys were asking him, but they were kind of offering. So it's a psychology game, basically.
Yeah,
it's a different game.
Yeah, if someone else starts a conversation with you, then they are asking you, not you.
And then you can ask them back if they can provide you any value.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's definitely an interesting thing, and I guess since we started talking about like networking and importance of networking, do you have any examples like in your life that where networking or your network served a really important role, or in where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. So There were multiple examples, but one of the most recent ones is I used to work for like a construction startup before, and so I kind of showed myself pretty well there. And then when the coronavirus started, so they laid off most of the people, and I was one of those. But I kept in contact with the people there, and
Yeah. With the team.
met with them a couple of times, even though we weren't working together. And then when they got acquired by another company, they kind of called me and they were like, "Oh, you want to work with us? We have
That's
a
so
place
cool.
for you." So
And that's where you work right now.
yeah, and that's where I work right now.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
and that's like the biggest example. I can probably come up with like 1,000 more,
Yeah.
but I need to think about that.
What was the, in terms of like financial return? I don't know if you can actually count that, right? But like it was a substantial one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And for me as well, like the work the position that I have now, it's I also got it through like networking. You know,
Mhm.
it wasn't through applying, in a it wasn't a cold reach out that
Mhm.
I've done, right? It was through network. You know, met the founding partner of the firm,
Mhm.
and then like clicked with them, and first it was more of a part-time opportunity, and then eventually joined full-time. So yeah, definitely. And like I guess in my industry, in like venture capital, it's very relationship driven, and so whenever you attract new investors or even meet new founders and entrepreneurs, it's all through introductions. Like you
Mhm.
know someone who knows someone who can introduce you to that person, or you talk to someone, they know someone who'd be interested in the investment opportunity, and then you talk to them, and you know they invest in the company um, that you showed them.
Mhm.
So I think networking is definitely super important, and you know I kind of comply with the idea where you should dedicate certain amount of hours per week even to meet with new people and to like have conversations with them, and it could be you know random people outside whenever you go out. It could be through reaching out to people on LinkedIn and just asking them to have conversation because they work at an interesting company or in an interesting position, or even you know asking your friends or family to introduce you to someone that does or works in
Mhm.
interesting for your industry and talk to them.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard for me because I'm more of a like technical person. Just like
Yeah,
all
actually
my work is pretty
curious. Yeah.
secluded.
How do software engineers network? Like
They
what's
don't
their
really
they don't really they
network.
just know.
So that's why it's also hard. That we were discussing the person could potentially find a software engineer who would like help them streamline their CRM processes for a company, and where do we find that person? Like
I see.
those, I mean, those
Yeah.
are kind of hard to come by.
Interesting.
And if you're gonna find those that are easy to come by are probably those like professional salespeople who sell for software companies, and that's gonna be an outsourced effort, and those usually end up with like crap, just like never work, never really grow and stuff like that.
But I guess software engineers, they probably you know play their own game or play the game in their own way, and like connecting through like maybe forums or like websites
Not
or
really.
like platforms. No. Huh.
Maybe like Twitter, some popular software
Yeah.
engineers are
So
blowing
it's
up,
more
but
it's more about.
it's not in the business environments they're
Yeah.
blowing up. So
And if you ask, let's say, your boss to introduce you to another person or like another cool like software engineer, like
mhm.
is it common? Like would they be like, I don't know, like
I
why are
don't
you
know
asking
if
that?
even if who would I ask about, like, you know, like
Or what if you're like, I'm working right now on this, on the app. Maybe not your boss, because he'd be like, why don't you, why aren't you focused on your full-time job? But let's say it wasn't the fact, and you just come up to them and you ask them, hey, I need a person. I'm working on this app. I need help. Do you know anyone who could be interested in this role? Like, would they easily introduce you to three people, or?
They would probably be able to come up with somebody. Yeah, but
So it's a fine ask, right? It's not something out of.
So usually, my guess, those three people would be Indian contractors that would be able to help me for a certain amount of money. It's not the.
It's more transactional rather than relationship
Yeah.
built. Yeah. Interesting.
Maybe at some level it is more relationship, because I think, if you're looking for a director for your company, that's going to be more of a relationship talk. But if you're looking for an engineer, I don't know if they.
Yeah, I think it depends on definitely personality, and I think technical people or engineers just tend to be a little bit less extrovertish, which is completely fine. But in like startups, for example, we talk to a lot of CEOs, and a lot of CEOs come from technical background as well, but they just happen to be great like networkers and salesmen at the same time. But obviously CTO is a super important product, because while CEO has important person, because while CEO leads the company and like has the strategy and vision, the CTO helps to bring that vision into reality by building out the product, and product is one of the most important things that in the company. And like those CTOs like talk to a lot of different other CTOs, and they still have great network, but that's probably because they operate within small like startup companies rather than big corporations.
Yeah, and those are also CTOs, right? So they're kind of always by the side of the CEO, who's a promotionist, who's promoting everything, and kind of like the CEOs are always kind of like, oh, this, by the way, this is my CTO, his credentials is this and this, because CEOs are like have to rely on like strong technical people to like sell their ideas in tech, for at least. And so that's how. So it's not that the CTOs promote themselves and build those networks. The CEOs might build networks for the CTOs, I think.
Yeah, probably. That's true as well. Because like if you need to explain product or someone, if you need like an expert in that, obviously, get on the call the guy who builds the product. So it could be like through more of a passive flow, right, rather than active reaching.
So I think that's the game for software engineers.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and so maybe if you're a software engineer, don't invest in Rolexes, because it's not gonna benefit you.
Because you're not going out anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
It was a
Maybe
joke,
if you do, but if you're a crypto developer, then definitely do and move to Miami. And all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're in a place to do that right now, but
yeah. Cool. No, it looks like a lot depends on the industry that you work in.
Yeah.
Like where the flex culture.
But investing in networking is so like there is a lot of direction you want to invest in, and maybe one of them is networking. So like you want to learn new skills, new technical skills. You want to learn sales skills. Networking is one of them, like marketing skills. Like it's fine to invest in any of them. Just be smart with doing that, and don't spend all of your money into networking if you don't have anything to sell. Like,
yeah, the return still has to be higher.
Yeah.
Or more than zero.
At least.
On that. Cool.
Yeah, if you're just a cool guy and
or
I mean network is always pays off, so
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it for this episode of networking
and Rolexes.
Networking and Rolex. That's how we're gonna call it. That's a good tagline.
Oh yeah, that's a good one actually. Huh.
Yeah. So follow, subscribe,
Comment, give us
comment,
feedback,
like, whatever.
share.
Don't buy Rolexes, buy Rolexes, do whatever you want. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.